Joining us now is one of my favorite guests, former New Hampshire governor and former chief of staff for George Bush 1, John Sununu. How are you, Governor?
I'm well. How are you today, John?
Tell you what, we're fired up about Wednesday's debate. I got to tell you, Chris Christie raised the stakes. He said that we're going to get up on Thursday scratching our heads and say, well, we got a barn burner here. What do you expect, Governor, on Wednesday night from Governor Romney?
Look, I think during the debate, the voters are going to get a chance to see the governor and the president side by side. It's sort of comparison shopping. I think you're going to see two candidates that are well experienced at presenting their case, and people are going to have to make a choice. I think Governor Romney's just going to go out there and try and make sure people understand that he understands they're hurting. He knows what's happening in America. He knows the disaster that we've gone through the last 4 years, and he knows how to fix it, and he will fix it. And he fixes it because he cares about the people of the country.
Now, Governor, you've been around the block in these. You're no stranger to debates and high-stakes drama. You remember we were talking about the Richmond debate with George H. Bush and President Clinton in '92, where we thought that was the debate that Clinton became president when he answered that question about the balloon mortgage. Do you see another one of those repeat things coming up? And how is Governor Romney going to articulate his vision for the United States in a way that people can really understand?
Well, look, what makes things difficult, of course, is that the size of the problems and the magnitude of the disaster we have is huge. And so you're trying to pack answers in minute-and-a-half segments that touch on huge issues. But the governor certainly understands the details of the issues, and he'll focus on making sure people know that what we need is to empower the job side of America. The job side of America has turned its back on this administration. John, they're sitting there with $2 trillion worth of cash waiting to buy equipment and hire people. And for the most part, they're not doing it because they're scared to death that Obama will be reelected. So the Governor Romney has to explain to people that jobs really do depend on leadership in the White House. And he's going to have to convey that in the debate. I think he'll do a good job of it.
Well, certainly, if you look back on the primary debates he had, we were talking all week about the fact that he went into Florida and Newt Gingrich had all the momentum, and he vanquished what we thought at the time was the debate king. I think he definitely has shown, Governor Romney, that he can stand toe-to-toe on stage with anybody, right?
Well, I think so, but don't forget President Obama is president. He's gone through rounds of debates with Hillary, who's no slouch herself at doing it. So you're going to see a good competitive presentation, but you're going to see two different visions, and that's what people really should look at. And of course, the problem with debates, presidential debates, is you don't know what the balance between substance and style is going to be. And it's always hard to judge ahead of time. What kind of a tone should you take? I think you're going to just see the president trying to convince people of all his excuses have validity, and Mitt Romney's going to try and explain to people that we should have been better off today than we are, and that he's got a vision to take the country forward. But people are going to have to look into that screen, see two people side by side, and make a decision. I think it's an important debate.
Now, Governor, if we could move to foreign policy a minute and the Libyan situation. Now
You mean the no foreign policy?
Yeah, I mean, it's a complete catastrophe in the Middle East. And I tell you what's disturbing, Governor, to us about the Libyan situation where our ambassador got assassinated along with 3 other aides and diplomats is what is now becoming either a tremendous show of incompetence, a lack of intelligence, or a cover-up. All 3 are bad, though, right?
Well, all 3 are happening, too. Look, this is an administration that Obama tried to convince us that Al-Qaeda was gone, that there was that terrorism was on the way out, that he had somehow magically quelled the waters. And when you see not just what happened in Libya, the tragedy of Ambassador Stevens' death, of course, but you see the whole Northern Africa, all of Northern Africa and the Arab world up in turmoil, and you see that this president that told us that his sweet words were going to calm the Muslim world just has failed completely. This president was trying to hide that. He wanted to hide the failure of his administration, and they try and hide everything. The directive to the defense contractors in Northern Virginia and around the country to not let people know they're going to be laid off as required under the WARN Act is another effort to deceive people. And then when they got caught doing that, they say they're going to pay the legal fees if people have problems by not following the law. Talk about disingenuous. Talk about dishonest. Talk about how they're tucking it to the families in particular where there's a concentration of that kind of work in Northern Virginia.
It's completely an attempt to deceive the public from what's actually happening, Governor. And that's really one of the problems. I think if you look at the stage we're at in this political campaign, we're going to expect any incumbent president to do what they need to do to spin their situation politically. But I think when you start manipulating the facts and not being candid with the American people, when you've got massive jobs layoffs coming down the pike, and at the same time you've got 4 U.S. diplomats assassinated, this is where I believe they're starting to tread on some very questionable lies. Agree?
Well, all their lies, they've had lies for 4 years. I mean, this is not new. People are just paying more attention now and identifying the dishonesty. This is an incompetent president. We have 8.2% unemployment, 23 million Americans unemployed and underemployed. The country has got fiscal problems, and we're padding our entitlement roles just to cover the problem that we have. It's a bad presidency. We need a change. Mitt Romney's the guy to fix it.
Governor, do you believe that Barack Obama was briefed on the Libyan situation and that he made a conscious decision to mislead America?
Look, I think before the Libyan situation, I think there must have been tons of information in the intelligence data, but this president thinks he's so smart he doesn't have to take the full CIA briefing. He just skims it on his iPad. But that document he skims on his iPad is a summary document. The key to the intelligence briefings, and he skipped 60% of the depth of the intelligence briefings, is exchanging with the CIA briefers and the experts they bring in on what is really going on. So, in my opinion, he missed the sense of the crisis around the world before it happened, and as soon as it happened, the intelligence committees in Congress, the folks on the intelligence committees in Congress are telling us that they knew it within less than 24 hours. So the president going down to the UN and saying video, video, video is a clear, big presidential lie.
To give our listeners, Governor, by virtue of comparison, when you ran the George Bush I White House, you said that President Obama has not participated in about 60% of these daily AM briefings.
The in-depth part of the briefing, that's correct.
Right. How would you juxtapose that?
I can't remember 2 days that George Bush failed to do it in the 4 years he was in the White House.
So virtually 100%.
100%. I mean, if he missed a day or two, he made it up by having people come in the afternoon. I'm talking about the formal half hour in the morning.
Right.
This White House is a disaster. People have to understand it. This is a lazy, detached presidency on both jobs. This is the guy that hasn't met with his jobs council now in 8 months. Jobs are the most important issue in America. People have to understand they bought a bad package. They bought a pretty package that when they opened it up, there was an empty suit.
So, Governor, what do you think right now that President Obama needs to do to put this Libyan disaster into perspective? Should he come clean?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not going to give President Obama any advice. He's not going to take advice from me, and he's going to continue to do what he is doing. He's going to try and dance it through the election, but that's what he does best, obfuscate.
So in a Romney administration, how would that change?
Mitt Romney, as a governor, ran a clear and open administration. Nobody ever, and in Massachusetts, they're quite critical. He had 85% Democrats in the legislature. The cooperation and the openness there is how you get bipartisanship. Bipartisanship starts at the top. And once you start operating that way, then the administration is clearly open. and people will see what's going on. This is a guy that knows how to fix things, and the country needs to be fixed right now.
Governor, do you expect the mainstream media to spin the outcome of tomorrow evening's debate?
Oh yeah, they're all standing in front of their shaving mirrors this morning or their dressing tables, and telling and going over their lines. Wasn't the president magnificent? Did you see how presidential he looked? Yeah, I know he stumbled, but that was not a fair question from the moderator. The president clearly won. I mean, they're practicing the lines already tonight. So people should look at the screen and judge for themselves. That's the most important thing that people can do tomorrow night.
Former New Hampshire Governor John Sununu, former Chief of Staff of the George Bush I White House. Governor, thank you so much.